Welcome back to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Welcome back. It's another beautiful week. Kind of.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
It's early.
For you, it's like
early
9 o'clock here. It's early in the week.
I know, it's just early in the week. Yeah, it's early in the week. It's Monday. I'm saying it's a great week. Well, we shall see.
You know, they say that May is supposed to be the luckiest month of the year, that it's supposed to be so good because like April was such a shit show. And I'm hoping that's true. I'm just like, trying to keep the glass half full over here. How are ya?
I'm thriving. I'm excited because I go on vacation. I go take PTO on Thursday. I'm going to Austin, Texas. That should be fun. Much needed breaky break. Sometimes you like feel guilty about. No, actually, I won't say that. Well, yeah. Sometimes I feel guilty about taking PTO. Like I have so much to do. It's gonna stack up. I don't care. Whatever, who gives a fuck? So I'm not like front loading work so that I have less work when I come back. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna do me. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm picking out all my outfits, and I'm like, which outfit should I wear to Texas barbecue? And so I'm having fun getting ready to leave. So that's exciting. I wanted to shout out, oh my gosh, you guys, there's this book I've been reading, and it's like super fun. Okay, I love a super fun book. I love something not too serious. It's a little rom-com. It's called The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. It is Hunger Game meets vampires.
Okay.
So it's a fight to the death, vampires. Yeah, it's very fun. So I wanted to shout that one out. It's a good read so far. Don't know how it ends. But if you're into vampires and maybe some apocalypto type vibes, The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. So there's the little shout out.
That might be my next read. That sounds just right up my alley of disassociation. It's nice to have something that relates like absolutely nothing to real life sometimes.
Oh my gosh, no, so I was reading this other book, and it's basically about like I don't want to say like, basically it's like about class in Brooklyn, and I was like, this is serious. Too real. I don't want this shit. I was like, this is too serious. I don't want to fucking read about bitch not fitting in with the fucking upper 1%. And I was like, let's do something different. And then they said Hunger Games with vampires, and I was like, perfect. That is gonna be perfect for me to like transcend my human dimension for an hour every night. So 10 out of 10 recommend.
I love that.
What's up with you? What's good with you?
What's up with me? I'm trying to get by. I've been having just like I've been having feelings. It's been a month, and I think that I'm just stressed. I'm fire curious. There's a lot going on. If you were to ask me, like, write it all down and be like, where do I start? You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to take it day by day. I'm trying to have a good outlook on just like a vibe right now where I'm like a little tired, a little stressed. And I'm like, okay, how can we like turn this around? Like I know things will get better, which kind of relates to like today's episode. But yeah, so the vibe has been down. But I will say this weekend, I went on like a little date, and it was like spur of the moment. This was not like a serious inquiry. I just met this man randomly on Friday night, like stayed out by myself just for a little bit longer because I went to a place where it was the first place I ever went to alone in New York, like out by myself. So I just stayed a little longer after my friends left, and that's a place you go chit chat, like you go talk to the wall there, it's this Latino place. So I meet this man, and he's like a normal man, like he's just like a graduate student, like he's studying literature, writing his thesis, and I was like, whoa, what a breath of fresh air. A man that doesn't know what EDM is. And he asked me out on a little date the next day, so I went for it, And it was lovely up until like the last moment. He tried to give me a little kiss goodbye. But he went in it with his mouth open and his tongue out.
Just weren't feeling it?
No, it was so bad. And I was like, get me out of here. I need to go home. No, pro tip to all my dudes out there. Please come in with your mouth closed. Okay? Do not come at me with your mouth open and your tongue out. Why would you do that?
Do you prefer Would you prefer for someone that you're not like close with to ask permission, or to at least like body language ask permission before they just go in with a kiss at all?
Well, like the vibe was leading to that. Like it was a cute thing. Like we were under the Brooklyn Bridge. It was like a whole. It was a whole thing. So like I knew it was leading up to that. Like I was like down for down. But oh god! And as he was getting closer, I was like, "What is happening here?" Like that slow motion moment where you're just like,
okay, yeah.
Like how do I tell this man to? Yeah, and then after that, I didn't know what to do, so I just got myself out of there. I was like, I have to go home. My cat,
my cat
he's
needs
a nice
me.
guy. My cat needs me.
Are you gonna let him down nicely?
I think I'm.
Are you gonna ghost him? Are you gonna tell him?
I'm gonna tell him the truth. I decided that I'm gonna tell him the truth because I would want someone to tell me the truth. And that's it. When he reaches out, if he reaches out, maybe he read the vibe that like maybe my vibe changed. I don't know. But yeah, if he is to reach out, I'm gonna be honest.
You're gonna be nice. Constructive feedback.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's for the best. Like I will say that completely turned me off, which is interesting because I never had that experience before. I know what to do, but I don't want to work at it. That's not like a project I need to develop.
I feel it. You're busy. You got a lot going on. We don't need projects. I get it. All right. Are you ready for the episode? Let's do it. Okay, you guys. So the theme of this episode that we're going to be talking about is all about trust the process. As in, things don't happen overnight. You got to go through it to get to the other side.
The first time this quote was given to me was actually where we were going through sorority recruitment, and they were just adamant about like, you got dropped by 10 houses, but like trust the process. And I will say they were right. They were right when they said that, because you never know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We all have our own reality. We all have our own version of events. So even when you really want something to happen, at least in the sorority per se, when you're meeting all these people, they all have to be nice to you, right? Like they have to. And then they go to the back and they write notes about you. And it's never the kindest things, to be honest with you. So, if I'm just being real, and I mean that because I was one of those people, okay? You talk to 100 girls a day. So you have to be pretty brief and to the point when you write them notes at the end of your little sessions when you're talking to people. And one of mine was just like, please don't make me talk to this girl again. She just stared at me the whole time, And maybe she was really vibing with me, but that's because I had to be nice, right? So in that moment, it's like when she got dropped from our sorority or where people didn't come back, it was because maybe we're just not aligning. And that I didn't get visibility into that until like I was going on the other side of recruitment. So when they say like trust the process, I feel like that's a really just good metaphor of like, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And maybe it is for the best that you don't end up there. And I can say that very, very candidly because I do not wish our sorority upon anybody. Okay?
Okay, so obviously, like, I don't want to digress from the topic, but trust the process. It's so funny because you say that and it was like so triggering to me, but I just watched this documentary. It's called Escaping Twin Flames on Netflix. And they also say trust the process. So make sure you're not accidentally in a cult when they say this. But have you heard of this, Twin Flames?
No.
Oh my God, it's crazy. So I love cult documentaries, okay? Honestly, I love documentaries in general. never done documentaries in jail, but this one is about basically finding your soulmate, and the two main leaders said that they could find twin flames, and they talked about twin flame relationships, and they were like, you have to trust the process. You're not going to find your twin flame tomorrow, but you will find them if you pay us $1,000 a month. But with trust the process, there is something on the other side. And I feel like with the sorority, it was just like, hey, just trust the process, because there's so many moments where you could like freak the fuck out within the process, but it would resolve itself in at the end. So I think it was a way of just being like, hey, not everything
Remain
is
calm.
Yeah. Remain calm. Things might have like hit the fan, but you're going to come out on top on the other side of this. Don't worry. Don't panic yet.
Even if that means at the end of people like not getting in a house. And I do think that that is for the best, because sometimes when you don't fit into your environment, it kind of sucks, and you pay a lot of money to be there. So I think that regardless of how that was the one, trust the process, I agree with. Trust the process. But obviously there's like, I think in life overall, trusting the process. I've been battling with this because sometimes my patience just runs like so thin with people, with just like where I am in life. It's been 5 years since I graduated from college though. And I was like trying to reflect on that, and I was like, oh wow, like actually I am in a better place than I thought I'd be. So even though like today I may not be having like the best day ever, and I might be like I'm in a mood, you know what I mean? And I may just be like, when the hell is this going to end? Like, you know? If I look back now 5 years ago where I was like, where am I gonna be? First of all, I had no idea, but in the past 5 years, I will say I've had like way more good moments than bad moments. And everything that has happened has built up to where I am now. So kindly, I did trust the process. Were there some freakouts along the way? Yes. There were many. But if you're working towards a goal, you got to have some patience.
You know, I've actually been reflecting that it's been 5 years, almost 6 years since I graduated. Actually, it's been 6 years. That's crazy. Sorry, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, wow, that's actually a while. That's crazy. But what's funny is that I feel like I'm in the place now that I thought I was going to be like 4 years ago, you know what I'm saying? And I was kind of getting discouraged about like where I was like right outside of college, because I think that universities overpromise and underdeliver when it tells you like what's gonna happen post grad. But I'm finally like where I thought I was going to be. And so just because like the process might take longer than you expect doesn't mean it's never gonna happen. And actually there was when I went to Washington, when I went to college, I would always do the like little talks that people would have, because I was like, I'm gonna get all my money's worth. So I'm going to all these free events. And there was one by a writer, and he's like Trevor Noah and Sarah Silverman's writer, and he said like the difference between making it and not making it is giving up, because if you keep at it and keep at it and keep at it, like you'll eventually get there. But most people just kind of throw in the towel too early because
it gets hard.
They just do, because they don't see it quick enough, and you have to struggle for too long, and you're like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. So yeah, keep at it.
Life is the long game. You gotta be smart in what you play, and you gotta. Right now it's like a weird time to be alive, because I'm finally got to the age where they tell you that things are gonna happen when you're younger. You know, when it's like at one point people are gonna start having kids and people are gonna start getting married. And that just started happening for me this year, where I like went on Facebook for whatever reason, and like people were posting their wedding photos and their baby announcements, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the Matrix. I'm like, I'm living a really different reality, and that's really interesting. You know?
Yeah.
Not in it. Yeah, but I don't feel the way I thought maybe I'd feel. You know, they tell you like you start feeling like this pressure to do all these things. I don't feel it. Like I see it and I'm like, oh, like I'm happy for them. You know, like genuinely happiness for other people that took different paths, but couldn't be me. Like I'm happy where I'm at. And I hope that other people feel that way. I hope people don't start seeing people getting married and think like that should be me right now. You know what I mean? I think people, that is the wrong approach. Like, trust the process right now. If you don't have your person, you do not need to rush into anything with anybody. Don't do that. If anything, take it slow. Take it really slowly, okay?
I mean, it freaks me out that people are having. I mean, I'm literally almost 30. And my therapist was like, "Oh, like, did you plan on having kids?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't know." It's starting to look like I was like, "Don't think so. Never thought so." And now I'm getting to the point where, babes, it might not even be possible, you know. And I was like, "That's so funny," and like to feel like, people are starting families, and you're like, "Huh, I love that for them." But yeah, could not be me. I don't feel any pressure. If anything, I feel relieved that like I am not doing that because it looks really hard. I'm being honest. Having a family and being a mom looks difficult. And I know it's beautiful and joyful and everything, but I literally am like, hats off to people who are supporting full families and shit because it's like, I'm like, oh my God, you what? Like, you know,
One
like,
of,
have you thought about
no,
your coworkers who have families and you're like, how much more money do you make than me? Because you support a whole family on this?
that, and also I watched a TikTok from one of my middle school best friends cleaning her daughter's room. And it was like on high speed, you know? But she probably took, I don't know, 5 hours cleaning that room. And I was like, oh my God, when you have kids, you don't only have to clean your shit, you have to clean up their shit too. Ridiculous. There's not enough hours in the day for that. Like,
I mean, honestly, that's like probably my biggest barrier to like starting a family is I was like, when and how? Like, I just logistically, I cannot wrap my brain around it. And then people are like, oh, you just find a way. And I'm like, but how? How do you do it? Because I wake up at 7 a.m., I go to work, I come back, I make myself food, I do some stuff for the podcast,
exhausted.
and then,
I'm
and then I'm like, it's time
exhausted.
for bed. It's time for bed. I have to get ready for bed now. It's like, oh shit, well, today's over. So, shout out to parents out there and like legal guardians and everyone that's making it work. Super shout out to you. But like, if you're not there yet and you're like me, there's nothing wrong with not understanding how people make it work and figuring that that's not what you want to do with your time. Equally good choices. It's like, what's the right choice for like you and your life? And you know, sometimes I see a girl in I see like a 3-year-old girl in a juicy tracksuit, and I'm like, oh my God, that'd be so cute if I could put my daughter in a juicy tracksuit. But then I think about maybe not. You know, that moment's fleeting for me.
It's come to my attention that to have a family, you have to like have a maybe a partner. I mean, you can be whatever. Okay, you could be whatever type of household family you want to be. But at least for me, I'm like, damn, there has to be another person involved. And right now, I'm in the place of relationships where I'm like, let's just trust the process because it's been in the depths of hell. I do not recommend anybody to date in New York. If you come here, maybe come already cuffed up, okay? Find your person somewhere else. I don't know what is up with people here, but yeah, I've learned some lessons. I think I'm really focusing on just letting people be experiences, learning things from people, learning more things about myself when I'm in relationships. And just trusting that if something doesn't work out with somebody, there's like a larger reason for that. Like you truly never know what's behind like your talking stage. There's a lot of people here that don't make it past like the 3 month mark. And as much as sometimes I'm like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I just like made it past that mark. Maybe that's for the best that you don't find out. You know what I mean? Like I see people get into some situations where they like, just waste a lot of time trying to get together with another human. And I think it can be worth it and it can be like rewarding to go through like challenging experiences. I don't think it should be that hard though to try to get along with somebody you're trying to date. It shouldn't be that hard. There should be trials and tribulations. There's no relationship that like of people that I know that are in healthy relationships that haven't gone through like trials and tribulations. Like you're meeting another human being, you're learning how to communicate with another human who grew up maybe probably very differently from you. Also, I was thinking about this, and our like age range is where like divorce has been like the most prominent. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
people have like different issues than they did in the past. You know, like a lot of, I would say, like at least like my parents, their parents would like stick together through thick and thin. Like people didn't get divorced back then. But now it's like more people are getting divorced. They have kids with different styles of attachment, different types of trauma. They are scared of commitment. They, you know, see relationships differently than other generations. So I think like that can also be just very difficult to navigate, like matching up and syncing with another human in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that like I feel like a lot of the reasons why divorce rates are higher is because women have options now. Because when my grandma, she didn't have a bank account because she wasn't allowed to. You know what I'm saying? And how do you leave someone when you have no money and no means of making money? You stick it out. And like luckily my grandparents had like a very lovely relationship of something that like I would like to emulate. But there's also other people's grandparents who there was not love there. It was just like a financial relationship. So yeah, but I mean, when it comes to finding a partner or just any of these really lifelong goals, is that like life is a long game, you know, God willing, as my grandma would say, you know. And so it's like don't rush into it, because it's like a forever partner at my age, it's like that's like 60 years. So it's like what's the difference between 60 years with like someone you rushed into a relationship with versus 50 years of someone that you like really stuck it out and like figured out what you wanted and made sure it was the right person. And I mean, I always remember like what Adam said on our podcast is that he's like a little bit older than us. He's like 36ish. And he's like, just wait, because he's like, once you get to my age, everyone's divorcing and telling you they wish they would have waited. I think about that all the time.
Yeah, it's a weird place to be because now I'm starting to get like, dude, this is so crazy. I don't have any pressure to find somebody, okay? It'd be nice. I don't like doing things alone anymore. It'd be it's more about just divide and conquering responsibility rather than like I need to find my person for me right now. But yeah, I've been talking to people. I was like, oh yeah, well, I was seeing this person, but you know, it didn't work out. And right now, I'm just like I'm good. And some people have just been like, well, I know like you're getting older and like maybe you want to find somebody, and I'm like, no, like it really doesn't feel like that. But it's funny that like people think that. I'm like, am I giving that vibe? Am I like I love love, but like I love platonic love. I love love in all ways and forms. There's love everywhere. Um, but yeah, because I'd rather be dilly dallying, hot girl summers here, you know, like woo, than having a bad time with somebody. Truly.
I think like being single at a certain age seems like counterculture. You know, like we know my aunt, she's never been married and whatever. People say things to her all the time, like about like, oh, like aren't you? Da, da, da. It's like, well, no, I just never found the right person, but I've been like living a full life by myself. And so I think to say like, oh, I'm cool by myself, or I don't want to rush into anything, they're like, what? What? You don't want to rush into anything? Why not? You don't want to be in love? Why not? Um, my optometrist the other day, she was like giving me property tax advice, and I was like, am I old enough to look like I'm worried about property taxes? Like, am I giving off the vibe that I have enough money to own a home? I love that for me, but this is different. This is different.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's given me unsolicited tax advice before. Okay, let's hear about evading taxes, girl. No, but it is weird to be in that part
Tell
of
me
life and like,
more. Yeah.
yeah, tell me more, literally. But something that's like I've been thinking about is that I wish that goals and milestones were like as satisfying and as easy as like weightlifting is. So I feel like weightlifting, like with trust the process, like it's so easy to be like, I got better, I'm getting closer to my goal, because like, oh, I used to only be able to do one rep of 100 pounds. Now I can do 8, and I feel like you kind of have to like create like steps within your goals so that you can see the process and the progress.
There's also like some beliefs about like wanting and desires, and how the more we get is like the more that we want. So sometimes we kind of like forget to value where we're at, like where you're at may be exactly what you wanted when like before, and now that you're here you're like, well, I want more. And it's like that crave for more that maybe leaves you with a sense of like being unhappy. But like if you already got to the place where you are now, what is there like not to say that you're gonna get over there soon? You know what I mean? And like life doesn't happen equally for everybody. I think like it's so funny because sometimes I'm up and some of my friends will be down bad. And right now, a lot of my friends are happening. So many good things are like happening to here and there and here and there. And right now, I'm like, oh my God, am I like stuck? And then I really have to take a look at myself and be like, I'm not stuck. First of all, I'm doing fine. I'm just like, sometimes it's hard. It's hard to see other people like get all these things, and you're just like, oh God, oh God. It is, but it's not like the life Olympics here. You know what I mean? It really isn't. And I think if you can really think about like a team win, it keeps the vibe up. It really does. I'm glad that my friends are up, because honestly, that also means I'm up.
This ties back to people getting like engaged and married and stuff. I do think that's a trip, because you're like, oh my God, wait, they haven't been dating for that long. And then you're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess they've been dating for 4 years. That has been how much time has passed.
Ooh,
And
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
you're like, whoa, that's trippy to me, because it doesn't feel like this person's been in the picture for that long, but they have. It's been 4 years, it's been 5 years, it's been 6 years. And so sometimes I think, we look at other people in our lives, and it seems like things are happening to them for so fast because we're not there for every step of the way. And so I think about that sometimes, where I'm like, oh wow, like this person's moving so much faster than me, but it's like, oh, actually they just started at a different time, or this has been going on for 4 years. I'm just not seeing the time in the same way that I perceive time in my life, because I have to sit through every single day of myself struggling.
I agree, and enjoying the place that you are in life is something I'm just really trying to do right now. I'm trying to find like all the harmony and beauty in like little coincidences, and like whether you believe in like destiny or fate, just like I like to believe that like I'm building little experiences for something good. Whether that is one day I find somebody that I'm like, I want this person to be my partner, and what that means for me. I know that if I had rushed into a relationship after my 5 year relationship, I wouldn't have known so many more things about myself that I know right now. That I can tell you.
Mm.
Oh, I know. Like I can tell you now what happened in my last relationship that led me to have feel certain ways. But if I had rushed into another relationship, I don't think I would have given myself enough time to figure those things out, and I think it would have happened again. And something that I have been more cautious while dating other people and being around other people, because you can give people chances, right? Like if when people fuck up, you're allowed to give them chances, is also looking at other people's relationships. Like I refuse to be unhappy, and I refuse to be in like a toxic relationship. I have family members, I have people in my life who just have these relationships where like I feel like they feel like they have to make them work, but they're just not. They're just be better apart. You know what I mean? Like unfortunately, um, and I just never want. I don't want that for me. Like I do not want that for me. And so sometimes when I'm looking at a situation where I was like, do I give this person another chance? I think about those relationships. I think about those people, and I'm like, ooh, is it worth trying to force this situation, or should I just let there be peace and harmony and like let this one go? Maybe let that one go.
I think I honestly like, oh, what's for you is for you or whatever. And like honestly, sometimes I get on social media and I like want to like jump through the phone in TikTok specifically, of people, and I'm like, oh my god, girl, no, run, stop this. And like, I feel like I'm trying to just be very gracious for my life, and I feel like it's made me a very happy person. And in that way, I feel like I'm just trusting the process of life and trying not to rush things and just take it day by day, because who gives a fuck how long it takes me? Or like, even if dude, I could live the life I'm living right now and be perfectly content, you know? Like, I don't even think I need the next thing. I really feel like once you have, I mean, what sucks is that it takes so much more money to like have food, water, shelter, and then also fun money to go enjoy for me to do aerial yoga and Pilates, like that. I fucking hate how much money it costs to live. But now that I'm there, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take it day by day, do my fucking best, and trust the process. And maybe I don't get these huge wins that I used to get because I don't want to say my life was so shitty, but like, when you're making like, I mean, this is kind of half a joke, but like, when me and Berenice got our first job, we were literally making like minimum wage, right? And so like, getting that next job feels so fucking good because I went from making minimum wage to making kind of livable money. And so I had a lot of big jumps, and right now I'm not having as big of jumps, but like, I'm okay fucking coasting because have everything that I need.
And this is different for different people. I feel like I grew up with like a sense of survival for so long that now when I like things provide me with more stability, I look at life really differently. You know what I mean? Like before growing up, I thought like, oh, I want to be creative and I want to be able to make art and I wouldn't mind living like a shitty apartment if I could just like live that life. But now I'm like, no, that's not, I want a very stable home, a nice stable home. And I will also be creative, but like the stability is before anything else. Um, and everything has fallen into place once I actually focused on creating that stability. So sometimes I think like you have to trust the process of finding what you need to create that, right? Like I didn't even know I needed stability because I grew up so chaotic until I'm acquiring more of a stable environment, and I'm actually able to grow in these other aspects of my life. But like I can tell you that when I was trying to be creative while I was still chaotic, I was just so sad, you know? And like sad art is
Yeah.
cool and all, but is that really how I wanted to live my life? Not really. So, you know, right now maybe I'm focusing a little bit more on stability than as much as I'm able to be creative, but I'm like trust the process and know like it's going to line up. Things are going to line up. We're going to remain stable with our finances, and everything else is going to be buildable. But things do take time.
So basically, I've had like a couple of goals that I'm finally achieving, you know, Q2, by the end of Q2. We love that. But I feel like I really wanted to get them done as quickly as possible, and it just was not feasible. And it's like, okay, well, then how do I feel satisfied and like I'm still working towards my goals and my dreams and my aspirations in a way that's like doable with also me sustaining myself and living life? And, you know, I feel like the worst part about capitalism is the realization that like I have to live within it at this time. Like, you know, I sometimes think about crazy things like I should go off grid, but like I don't have the skills or the nature. I don't know that like I don't really want to live off grid. Like that sounds crazy. Like that doesn't sound appealing to me. But so I have to deal with living with capitalism. So how do we make it all work? It's like you just have to dedicate a little time to it and trust the process. So every week I do something that fulfills me spiritually, which is towards my goals, but it's not all day every day because it's just impossible to do that.
Unfortunately, I would say another thing with trusting the process, I guess with being a op- delusional optimist, okay, is the general belief that everything is working towards my favor and that things are always working in the background. And I really do believe this because I love to think of like everything that makes a moment, and I have this delusional feeling that like everything is just like lining up exactly how it needs to for me to get there. But with anything, you have to put in work, okay? Unfortunately, things don't just land in your doorstep. And sometimes that sucks. I want to say that. It sucks. It sucks that you have to work for it. Okay? But if you want to be something and you're not exercising, whatever that is, like if you want to be an artist and you're not making art, well, you becoming an artist is gonna, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're always talk about just like doing one more thing a day, exercising one more thing a day. If a goal seems really big, just starting slowly, small steps. Start doodling. You know what I mean? What? Oh, you want to be an artist? You haven't had time. Start drawing on. I don't know. If you commute but you don't drive, figure out a way to fit it in somewhere. Take a class. Meet some new people.
I've actually
It's
started
summertime.
drawing.
Yeah.
I started drawing because I'm honestly, it's because in a very loving way, I always get art supplies as gifts because it's like I used to do art all the fucking time and it's kind of just fallen at the wayside because of who has time for it all. Babes, I've been drawing spheres like crazy. Let me tell you, my shaded spheres have gotten way better. And it's just like doing, and like I feel like the best thing there's so much technology that is like hurting our brains, like like scrolling can hurt our brains, our accessibility to like pornographic material can hurt our brains, but then there's this like beautiful side of technology, which is I don't have to go to art school. I can go on YouTube and like have artists and art teachers teach me how to draw. And I feel like that goes with like everything in life is like trust the process and do what you can where you're at. And I would say if you're listening to this, you have access to the internet, so you can go do a YouTube video. So it's like if art school that you would love to go to art school, but you don't want to get $100,000 in debt, I totally get it. But then it's like, how can we use the internet and our resources to like start working towards that? Because not every artist is like created inside of an art school, and not every business person isn't created inside of a business school. Like it's so dope that we have YouTube that can teach us anything, so you don't have to like wait until the right time to just start. And this is a quote that I've been thinking about, is like the best time to start anything was yesterday, but the second best time to do it is always today.
That's cute. I like that. Along with using your resources, if you're a technology girly and you're interested in literally anything, TikTok is just like a search engine for as long as we have it. You know what I mean? So like if you're looking for a free art class, literally type in your city and say art class. I'm sure there's one on there. Like people put content every day of things, and like there's a community waiting there for you. Start commenting on people's things. Shoot your shot. You never know. You really never know. I've made a lot of friends like through social media where I know maybe we'd have never met in real life. And they're like people I really cherish that brought me different opportunities when I'm able to connect other people too. I love that. People remember kindness. Kindness that comes without a freaking agenda. Be kind to people. Just cuz, They're like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" I'm like, "I literally have nothing better to do."
I got a lot of times, babes.
I had a free day. That person needed something. I just said, "Okay, go build communities." While you're trusting the process, I'm sure things will line up exactly how they're supposed to.
All right, babes, that's all my thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, not really. Don't force anything. Everything should flow like goddamn water, okay? If you're a little anxiety bug with like, I don't know if I'm making the right choice, if this is going to be the right path, I saw somebody say like you just have to make a decision and let the universe flow, and like don't even be worried about it because you're going to land where you're going to need to, If that's your belief that everything will go as towards a direction, the decision that you make will eventually lead you there. The people may look a little different, the story might look a little different, but you'll eventually get where you need to go.
I think there's another thing that's related to that, which is like have a bias for action. So it's like if the decision's not doing anything at all and doing something, do something. It'll lead you somewhere versus keeping you where you're at. So trust yourself, babes. I trust you.
I trust you.
All right. Whoever's listening,
that's it.
You. All right, everyone. We trust you per usual. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, all the social medias. You can find us. Thanks. Number 4, Your Concern. And I'm at Ella L. Tudor.
And I'm at Berenice Ideas.
Make sure that you're subscribed. Tell a friend. Rate the podcast. And we love you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.